Hey guys, welcome back to Ask AZBros. I'm Virus, joined by Lockjaw, and today's question is, will Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still have fire hopping?
I think it will, but I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to look up to see if anybody could confirm or deny it. You know, they've been doing a lot of these Switch tours where people go and get to play Deluxe.
Yeah.
And I've heard some people say, well, I don't really know. I can't really tell. And other people say, no, it's definitely in it. We actually found a video where somebody was like being King Boo, and they were doing it. They were fire hopping. But it's hard to tell whether the speed is there or not. Because the motion is different than the speed.
I mean, obviously, you should still be able to do the motion for it, hopping back and forth. But the question is, will it give you the speed?
Right.
Will you be faster in the air than you are on the ground in 150?
Yeah, because without the speed, what good is it going to be?
Yeah, so
right?
you can still do it. So it might still be in the game, but just not help you.
Correct.
So I think the real question is, will it be in the game and still work the same?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just explain really quickly for anybody who doesn't know. Fire hopping is what we consider an exploit because it's not intended. Where when you're
gives you an
driving,
advantage.
you do your power boost, your drift boost, and you hop left and right a couple times to like really maintain that high speed. Because, you do go faster in the air. And, it's what I just said. It's an exploit. It's not intended. Nintendo didn't explain, here's how you can go faster.
There's not a tutorial
technique
for it, in the beginning.
Yeah, and so it's just a situation where there is some technical stuff to it, but it's really not a tough mechanic to learn. So I hear people try to act like it's, some higher, technique to the game, and it's just more of an exploit, right? I mean, since when did exploits become techniques? You know what I mean?
And well, they can be considered that.
In some cases,
I understand why people like it. I mean, it gives them something to do, right? It gives you, it's technical. You gotta learn it, and you gotta get better at it, and then it helps you, and it gives you an advantage. So I get why people like it, but my problem is I don't want to learn an exploit. If it was a true mechanic, and I play fighting games, like a lot of them, and I get all the text down and everything I need to do, that's fine.
Right.
But I don't want to learn exploits. I for some reason, maybe it's just me, I just have no desire to learn an exploit like fire hopping. If it was a real mechanic, I'd have no problem. I would learn it, but I just don't want to.
Like some people have pointed, I've heard people say, well, it's really easy, so, well, there you go. It's really easy. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter then. It's easy to pick up. It's more frustrating.
You shouldn't miss it then, right? I mean, it just gives you an advantage.
Yeah.
You have to do this weird thing that people came up with. Like I said, okay, to go even further into it, like I was saying earlier, when you fire hop in 150, you are faster in the air. Your air speed is faster than your ground speed.
Right.
That's why it is better.
Yeah.
That's why you go faster, because you're faster in the air. That's why you do it. In 200cc, it's different because you're actually slower in the air than you are on the ground. Your ground speed is faster than your air speed.
So it hurts you to be in the air.
So you can still do the motion. You can hop, but every time you hop, your speed is decreased.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah,
so I just wonder if they can
looks.
somehow change it where in all the other CCs, same thing, same as 200, where you're slower.
Yeah.
You're slower in the air.
Do you find it silly that people try to make a game such as Mario Kart, a party game, just a fun, relaxed game, into something more? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't take it seriously, because we take games seriously.
I wouldn't say it's silly, or I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with it. It's just, I don't see the point in being rude to other people when they don't want to learn an exploit. I look all over forums. I was trying to look up the other day if anyone had confirmed or deconfirmed it, and people are just, people in the Mario Kart community, some of them are just, they're vicious, and they get on people. They just say, I'm not a fan of fire hopping. They get on like, you just suck at the game. You just can't do fire hopping, and you just are too weak to learn it. And it's like, no, because I don't understand that mindset in it. It's like, I think people don't want to learn it because it's not intended.
Well, I remember the whole, like in Mario Kart DS, there was snaking. I believe Double Dash had it too. I'm just not big for the exploits and stuff, because again, it's not intended. It's not a technique. It's an exploit. But I did it in DS. I played the Mario Kart DS online, and everybody was snaking, so you had to keep doing your boost, and it really hurt your hand. And so at the end, I'm like, what is the benefit? What am I really getting at? Yeah, I'm winning races. It's not fun. But I don't feel like I'm better than people. I just feel like I'm hurting my hand.
But what
for
I
no
hate
reason.
too is you kind of have to do it if you're going to compete.
That's true. Yeah.
There's this weird exploit that wasn't intended. Like I said, it's not meant to be that way. 200cc is kind of like the proof there, because that is the way it should be. Where and I think they did that intentionally. I think there was something where when they were programming it, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that they did that intentionally for 200cc. That they corrected whatever it was on the other CCs and said, look, we figured it out, we're going to make it now a little slower in the air.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the proof that it shouldn't be that way. But
well, now in Mario Kart 8, now I'm trying to remember, you cannot pick your speed or engine class or whatever when you're racing online, correct? I'm not even really sure how it chooses.
I think it just depends on what VR you have, and I don't think it ever gets up to 200 unless you do it.
Yeah,
you specifically choose it.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that they said you start off at 100, it never goes lower, and then at some point after a certain VR, it goes to 150.
Yeah,
it never goes to mirror. I mean, considering that 200cc it really does it changed the game. The way the speed is on that's like a true difficulty. If you don't give me the whole fire hopping stuff like, oh, I'm elite now. 200cc like that's
it's
real
just
racing.
Who wants to invest the amount of time? Because you'd have to learn on every track and get the right combo and practice so that you can fire hop at every turn.
Yeah,
and it's like, who wants to really invest that many time in Mario Kart? The game is random
still so
as
much,
is.
Yeah, there's still so much.
And
randomness.
I know that people do the clan wars and stuff, and it's like, that's fine. I mean, I invest a lot of time in fighting games and learn this stuff. But especially for me, like I said, Mario Kart I don't want to do that, especially an exploit. If it was a real mechanic, I would do it.
Oh, 100%.
But since it's an exploit, I'm like, I'm not going to invest that much time into learning this. Yeah. Especially an exploit could be patched out. I thought it was maybe going to be, and they never did.
Well, yeah.
So don't get used to something that's an exploit that's going to get patched out. I remember playing PlayStation All-Stars. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but they had a weird exploit, and it was really cheap. And I did it a few times. It's like, it gave me an unfair advantage. It was really cheap, and it's like they patched it out right afterwards. But did it ruin the game for me? Did I say, oh man, now that I've been exposed to that exploit, I can never look at this game the same? It's horrible. But that's how some people have, and I've seen in the forum, they have that mindset for Mario Kart. Like, it's as if now they've been exposed to fire hopping.
They can never go back.
They can never look at it the old way again. It is it's garbage if it's taken out. I'm like, man, we all pre-ordered the game and we all were looking forward to it. We all had fun the first week before we knew it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden the game's crap if it doesn't have this exploit. I just think that's kind of unfair.
Well,
and everyone has their opinion, but I just think it's unfair.
If the next Mario Kart game, so Mario Kart 9 or whatever they're going to call it, I'm sure it's going to have some name, if there is actually somehow Nintendo makes a game without an exploit, or if there is one, they patch it soon, will anybody buy it? Will anybody play that game?
Wouldn't that be sad? Someone who's a long-time Mario Kart fan, they're exposed to fire hopping, and now if the next one doesn't have it, they just don't want to play it.
Well, I heard people say they
that
didn't
would ruin your love for Mario Kart.
I remember people acting like they didn't really care for Wii, the Mario Kart Wii, because it didn't have your snaking.
I think it kind of did. I think it kind of did, but
no
one used cards.
Not your traditional
the wheelies
snaking.
were just better overall. So
okay, well, I mean, what is that mentality? And this may be its own topic. We're almost getting away from what the question was, but exploits. Like, who are people out there who only play games to find exploits, get good at them, and then act like
I just don't think that should
else?
ruin your perspective or your opinion of a game. That's what I kept saying. Like I said, I've went to different forums and stuff and different videos, and people keep acting as if that now that that's what I'm getting from it. That now that they've done fire hopping, now that they're aware of it, now that they've been exposed to fire hopping, they can
anything
never.
Less
they can
would not be as good.
Exactly.
As fun.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's just. I find that sad. That now the Mario Kart experience is ruined unless if fire hopping is in it.
And keep in mind what Mario Kart is
used to love
too.
Mario Kart.
You know what I mean?
I do. I still love it.
When you consider the fact that you've got this weird AI and the way the shells, the RNG of it. I mean, come on. Let's just be realistic with what Mario Kart is.
I don't think we need the fire hopping to make Mario Kart fun. Like I said, back in the Super Circuit and all the previous Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart. 64, I'm trying to name all of them, Double Dash, we didn't have fire hopping, but yet we all loved it. It was a fun game. But I just think that's wrong that you can now, everyone's view is, it's all just been skewed now, and it's like, I don't like it.
Maybe
now.
it's
I wouldn't like it if fire hopping wasn't in it. I'm like, I just don't think that's very fair.
I mean,
to say that
we've played a lot of it, and we can each do fire hopping. We've done it. It's like I'm not impressed by it. Like
and I
said,
get the technical
it's okay.
aspect. People like doing stuff that's tech. That's why I like Kaizo and Mario Maker, and in fighting games, doing different things. I get it. I know that makes you feel superior.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as an insult either. That may have sounded wrong, but I know it makes you feel like you
It
are
is advanced, taking that.
Yeah, and
next
I don't
level.
mean that in like a bad way. When I'm saying like it makes you feel superior, because it does. Like I said, if I go learn a huge combo in a fighting game, I feel like that's cool. I want to show that off. So I get it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that should, especially an exploit.
Well, like you said,
not even
if you had a combo that was blatantly broken, if you're playing a fighting game and you know if you do a certain input, your combo actually instead of scaling down is going to scale up.
Well, okay,
so you're going to suddenly do a ton of
you're
damage.
having a bunch of fun in Mortal Kombat 2, and you're like, you're being Kung Lao and you're having fun, and it's tough. Like you're going against your friend, right? And it's like, man, evenly matched. It's really fun. But then all of a sudden you get your hands on Kentaro, and you're just destroying him. He's taking no damage to you. Yeah. You punch him once, and half his life is gone. And it's like, then people I never want to go back. Now you go back to playing Kung Lao, like you get your boss character taken away, and you're like, this game's crap.
Were you really playing the game? You know what I mean? Were you really playing the true game?
You weren't really enjoying the true game.
That's true.
What I'm trying to get at. And I'm not like that, trust me. I would never be that way. But I'm saying that is my comparison of what I'm seeing in Mario Kart. I just don't think it's fair.
It's like somebody who couldn't play a game without the Game Genie or the Game Shark, whatever generation you grew up in. But where you have to have those cheat codes, your God mode or your invincibility or your infinite specials or whatever.
And once again, I'm just trying to be fair about it. I'm not trying to be bashing on fire hopping. I'm not trying to be insulting people who like it and who use it, because like I said, I get it. I know why you like it. I mean, it does take some skill, and it does give you, it rewards you pretty much. You do it,
but is it an unfair reward?
Is
the question. You know what I mean? Is it?
It's an
unintended.
Yeah.
And
like I said, I'm trying to be 100% fair here. I'm trying to, and like I said, I look at both sides. I understand why people like it, but I just think it's just not fair that people are saying that the game is now horrible if they take it out.
Right,
it's not fun. I'm never playing it again. It's like, well, if we were living in an alternate reality where fire hopping was never discovered or never existed,
Nintendo patched it.
Like Nintendo caught it before the game could be released, and they fixed it before it could ever get out to the public, we all would still be enjoying Mario Kart and have fun with it. It's just, since you're exposed to it, you hate the game for what it was.
Well, here's a question, just really quick, because I've heard people debate this before. Do you think fire hopping was intended somehow? Like Nintendo secretly intended it, but they didn't want us to know about it?
And that's what I was saying about the 200cc. Because I think if it was intended, it would be in 200.
I think they would have mentioned it by now, but it is odd that they didn't take it out.
I personally don't think it was intended, but who knows? I don't think they've ever confirmed it, right, or deconfirmed it.
No, I don't know if they've ever said either way. Well, here's another point, and then we'll start wrapping this up. But what, in your opinion, is the risk reward to fire hopping? 'Cause I feel like it's low risk, high reward. That if you do it and you mess up, you don't really get punished any more than you normally would.
Well,
but
I think
by
it's a
doing
matter
it, you're really rewarded
of setting yourself up to do it. I think once you're if you're on a straightaway and you use a mushroom, you can hop 3 times and it's not going to ever hurt you.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter of setting it up. And so if you set it up wrong and you think you drift too far out and then you start hopping and you go off road, well, there's your the risk of it. Is doing it at the wrong time, not knowing the turn, and doing it wrong on the turn.
Yeah,
once you doing it, the fire hopping, I don't think there is any downside. But if you hop off road, then it's like, well, you go off
I feel like
road.
it's one of those mechanics.
Or you go off the cliff.
I feel like it's one of those mechanics where once you have it down, which, like we said, takes a couple days or whatever, maybe not even a couple days, just get the basic. Once you do it, you're probably not going to mess it up. Like it's once you know what you're doing, you're not just trying to do it. You know what you're doing. You're not going to mess it up. It's going to become second nature. So I feel like it's not a whole bunch of risk involved to that. There's the risk that's going to be involved in getting hit or messing. Like you're not going to mess up, but if you get hit, it's no different than if you were taking a normal turn. But the reward to doing it versus not doing it is huge, in my opinion. Your speed boost that you get can be nonstop if you play your cards right. If you get the right mushrooms and the right turns and all that. So I feel like that it's not that great of a mechanic or a technique in the sense that I like high risk, high reward. That if you mess it up, there's going to be major consequences. But when you pull it off, huge reward. really was
like
worth
I said,
it.
you can look. It can kind of be that way, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like setting it up, getting it off the turd, knowing when to use your mushroom, doing it at the right time. So I mean, it's I guess a little different from other stuff, but I still see the risk reward from it. It's just like I said, at the end of the day, it wasn't ever intended. It's an exploit.
Yeah.
And so regardless of if it acts as a real technique, which that's what it is a technique. Regardless of if it looks like that, it's still an exploit, and that's why I personally just don't want it in the game. I just would rather have the game the way it was intended. I don't want to be learning an exploit. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, so again, let's look at the question again. It's, will Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have fire hopping? Like you answered it. I don't know if I gave my opinion. Unfortunately, I think it's going to, just because, like we say, it is a port. I think it's lazy. Let me say that. I think it's lazy on Nintendo's part to leave it in, because it is unintended and it is an exploit. Like we've gone over several times now. But unfortunately, this is Nintendo, and I don't see them.
It might sell more copies if they
mechanic.
keep it. So I could see them keeping it just for that alone.
Well, I mean, it is still that core game that, like I said, I'm sure for Mario Kart 9, they're going to take it out. There's going to be a different type of mechanic or driving physics to it.
For
so it'll
me,
probably be out. But this game,
it's not even a matter of like winning or losing. I see that a lot too. Like, oh, you're just saying because you can't win because you don't do it. It's like, for me, it's not even a matter of I don't want it in the game so I can win more. It's one thing I just want to point out, and I know we're going to wrap it up soon, but whenever once Fire Hopping was really in motion and everyone was doing it, and I was like, we were up high VR, every time like Mario Circuit would come up,
everybody
or
would
like
pick
Peach,
it,
what was it? Peach
Royal
Raceway.
Yeah.
Any course that was like really boring but really good for fire hopping, every time everyone would choose it. And it would be like the Dry Ruins or something, like a really cool like Bowser's Castle, where it may not be as effective. No one would choose it but me. And it's like,
well, like Toad's Turnpike, it was almost impossible.
I'm so bored of always playing Mario Circuit.
Yeah.
So for me, that was probably my number one reason for not wanting it in, because everyone would choose the courses that were meant, but they were boring courses to race on. And I use an inside drift bike, so
right. Well, so I'm very curious to hear what is everyone else's opinion of fire hopping. I mean, share with us, what do you think about it in general?
And try to be respectful and
Definitely.
be honest, and don't just go and be like, I'm better than you.
Yeah, no name calling or anything like that. I mean,
we're probably asking for it by saying that, but oh well. I mean,
well, yeah, but I'm curious. Do you find it? Do you see it as a technique or an exploit or something else?
Both.
Do you use it personally? Do you like it? Do you want to see it stay? Should it be included in future Mario Kart games? All that kind of stuff. Let us know what you think about it. Also, if you have a question for us, use hashtag AskAZBros. Ask in the comments below. Ask us on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you can get a hold of us. Go ahead, send us your questions, and we may feature them in a future video. And of course, if you like this video, I'll let Lockjaw say it.
Clobber that like button.
Yes, definitely do
Clobber
that.
it.
Don't just click it. Don't tap on it.
We want to see that like button clobbered. So.
We'll know if you clobbered it or
exactly.
not. And yeah, if you want to hear more from us, go ahead, subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. Check out more of our videos. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys later.
See ya.